So in this video, we are going to be going over some concepts of CAPSM. I'm going to walk you through these steps that you see: so introduction, R&D, marketing, finance, and then finally balance scoreboard. However, I want you guys to not expect that everything that you were taught in class is going to be retaught here. This by no means makes up for your attendance in class and your understanding from the doctor. Also, if I go over some parts that you already know, like the introduction, the stuff like that, just feel free to skip over the video. All right, without further ado, let's get started. Now, what is business? All right, so business is basically the act of creation, the creation of value. You're creating value, and then the customers who are seeking that value are willing to pay something or sacrifice something equivalent of value in their perspective in return. It means anything can be a business. It does not have to be necessarily tangible goods like sensors, chipsy, whatever. Right now, I'm actually doing a business with you. You're listening to my video because you think it's valuable. It has a value in it, which is knowledge, and you're sacrificing your time for it. And in return, I gain, a good feeling about myself. So anything can be a business. However, if you want to start a new business, there are two questions you're going to have to ask yourself. Who are you serving and how are you going to serve them? So CAPSM pretty much answers these questions for you. It's working on a more sophisticated industry, which is sensors. And it's serving two segments of people. One of them is high-tech and the other is low-tech. Now, as to what your role is in CAPSM, basically you are the manager. You are responsible for making decisions. I'm not saying decisions for a year that passed. You're going to be making decisions for the year to come. You're forecasting, you're expecting, you're doing marketing research, you're trying to see what the markets want and thus provide them with it. So it means for any year that you have a report, it already happened. It was the report for last year. You don't expect a report of something that didn't happen. Okay, and while you are making decisions, remember that you are making them for next year. And as for the segments now, you have to know that by now I hope that you know that there are two segments. One of them is high tech and the other is low tech. And these two segments have different buying criteria. It's very easy to understand actually. You just need to know that buying criteria is something, assistive tools for your decision making. Give an example of that. Let's assume that marriage is actually a business, and a boy or a girl, they both have criteria for their, for selecting their partner. So, for example, a girl would want to have, someone who's rich, good looking, and with good manners. Let's assume that, okay? So, the criteria here is different because there is a weight assigned to each of these characteristics or to each of these criteria. So let's say it's 70% rich and 29% good looking and 1% good manners. Okay, that's the same thing for CAPSM. Then you need to understand that the segments, the high-tech segments, they care so much about the price. They don't care about the price. Sorry, they care so much about the ideal spot to begin with. And then they care that the age is 0. You can actually see here that criteria for high tech. Let's find it out. That's low tech criteria. Okay, right there it is. So it's 33% weight on ideal position, age is 29%, and then price is 25%, and that's MTBF. So these are the tools that you're going to be using to make your decisions. All right. While you can see here that it is different for low tech, here they care about the age, the price, sorry, most of all, assigning weight for 20%, age has to be equal to 3, ideally, but it can only be 3 for one day, and then the MTBF is within this range, and performance and size, they only care about the ideal spot by 10%. So, for example, if there's a product in R&D for low tech, and then it's not close to the ideal spot, and the age is 2. What are you going to do in that scenario? Are you going to change the ideal spot to cut the age and cut the age in half? Because that's what happens when you change the ideal spot, the performance, size, the age will be cut in half. So are you going to cut the age in half in order to sacrificing the age for the ideal spot, or leaving the product to move towards 3 and leaving the ideal spot untouched? So it means you prioritize the age over the ideal spot. And the second option is, which is prioritizing the age is the right answer. So that is the importance of the criteria. Then let's talk about the ideal spots. So the ideal spots are nothing that you should be worried about. And the reason is simply because they are given to you. You can see here the ideal spots. However, the case in complex exam, you're gonna be starting from round 5. So if you want to introduce a high-tech product, it's gonna say round 0 in the complex, like here, but it's actually, that's the report for round 4, and you're gonna be making decisions for round 5. All right. So if you want to introduce a new high-tech product with the ideal age with the ideal spot for round 5, then you go here. Okay. You can just simply print that with you, the ideal spots, and it's not something that you should be worried about again. So about the units in demand, something that you can easily calculate as well. You're going to be competing in complex with 3 companies. You're going to be Andrews. As to how as to why you should compete the units in demand, because it's going to be important in decision making and sales forecasting later on. But I just think you can just do it simply because you can. Should do it because you can, and because it's actually going to come in handy to determine the level of competition. Maybe the supply is going to exceed the demand. Sometimes the demand is going to exceed the supply, so whatever you are producing is going to be sold, and that's why you need to know the units in demand every year. And simply just to prepare a document for that, let's go to Excel, round 1, and then let's group down. You're going to be pretty much making decisions for 4 or 5 rounds. I assume 4, so we didn't need that. And then you write round 0 here, which is already given to you by the report. You copy the number from the complex fast exam, from the complex fast track. It has 2 segments, one for high and one for low. And then you go here. All right, so let's do this here. All right, so here's low tech, and here's high tech, and there we go. So this is round 0, as you can see in the report. Just copy the number 4919, and then for high tech, it's going to be in high tech 2986. You can calculate it using calculator. You don't have to do it in Excel. So here the growth rate is 0.1 times, because since it's 10%, then you multiply by 1.1, multiply by this number. Again, these are Excel mechanics, and if you can't calculate the capacity by now for a new round, then unfortunately I just feel bad for you, because I'm not going to be able to do anything to help in that regards. Same thing here, except for the growth rate, which is 20%. So you multiply by 20%, and then this times that. Sorry, what's going on? I forgot the equal sign. This times 1.2, and then you drag it down, and voila, you're fine. So let us leave that aside for now. We're gonna get back to that later when we are doing the sales forecasting. Now let's get started with R&D. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna make another video for that, because this one's going for a while now, and I want to, maybe some of you want to skip the introduction. So I'll see you in the next video.